All right, as we round off the hour, let's bring you this discussion. The National Economic Development and Labour Council is among several civil organizations that are watching the ANC's national conference closely. NEDLAC is hoping the party's new leadership will work with labour, business and communities in order to tackle challenges that are facing the country. The group says it expects delegates at the conference to come up with programs that will be responsive to South Africa's most pressing needs. For more reaction, let's bring in NEDLAC's civil society leader, Thulani Tshefuta, who joins us via our telephone line this Monday morning. Thulani, it's great to have you on the program. If you're able to hear me, thanks very much indeed for making time to speak to us. I wonder whether there is consensus at NEDLAC around a specific outcome of this particular conference.
There is. Good morning and good morning to your listeners and viewers this morning. There is definitely no consensus at this point. But on behalf of the civil society component of NEDLAC, we are indeed expecting on our side that the conference itself should come out with the policies and programs that would respond most urgently to the pressing needs of the people and their communities. And equal to that is not just beautiful policies and programs, but emerge with leadership that will be equal to the task of shouldering the responsibility of implementing the same program. And I think it is important to make a point that we have to take interest in the proceedings and the outcomes of this conference as the business of the ANC, because at two levels, at one level we believe can drive these policies. If it comes out with responsive policies, those policies must stand the test of time regardless of who is in office, because the danger is that each leader will be elected for 5 years. At the end of the 5 years, if that leader is no longer there, even if the policy was moving in the right direction, it is likely to be changed. And so we must be focused on the substance of the issues more than who are the leaders. Our interest on the leadership must be, is the leadership that has been elected equal to the task of driving and implementing these policies and programs under normal circumstances. The structure follows the strategy. You never get into a meeting and say, hey, our first item on the agenda is to elect leadership. You have to start with the strategy. You have to start with policies. You have to start with programs. And then say, if these policies, programs, and strategies define the needs of the day, what then type of leadership do we need to can be able to drive these policies? It is only when the leadership structure is elected, after defining the task at hand, that you will be able to come up with a leadership that is fit for purpose.
That's interesting. How true is it, though, that it doesn't really depend on the personalities of the ANC, whether or not certain policies are driven through? Because we've seen in many instances very senior leaders of the party publicly disagreeing, for instance, about the best way through which we can solve, I don't know, our energy crisis, as an example.
Then that should not be pocketed into personalities. We see it more as competing interests, because even the ANC itself defines itself as ugalele bayini ngesixhosa. Andiyazi intoni ngesilungu. Ugalele bayini basically is where you find a concoction of everything and everyone in one place, a home for everyone. So in the same ANC, you have those who are on the far left. In the same ANC, you have those who are in the center, and those who are in the center right. And therefore, their competing interests, even ideologically, could then be a point of contestation about the policy outcomes that may emerge out of that. And those contradictions themselves must be healthy enough to propel higher levels of engagement and results in the ANC. The difference with personalities is that it is something that becomes a pet project of a certain leader. And once that leader is no longer there, no one can continue to identify with those policies and programs. And we can see some of the signs of that already happening in South Africa.
Sure.
And it is something that we must discourage. When you have leaders of the ANC that get elected into a new term of office, they come up as if they are a new ANC, which ANC was not in power 5 years ago. And that must not be acceptable by society.
All right. Thulani Tshefuta, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. Appreciate your reaction, at least in the build-up to this announcement of the results of the voting that took place from yesterday. Thulani, a representative from NEDLAC.